All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to definitely want to tune into this one here on Sportswire Radio because he's been on in the past and he's always had a lot to say, but now he is really in the thick of things here. In nonstop action wrestling, maybe we should have saw this one coming several weeks ago, but he's going to tell us, he's going to give us the inside scoop here. He is now the newest member of the society, and the society are definitely a big part of things here in nonstop
Yeah.
action wrestling. Just had a big show, All Hallows Eve. He was a part of it with one of, I think I had said this the day before, one of the matches I was really looking forward to most. He is also a part of things over in Blackheart Wrestling, their show next Sunday. So let's cut to the taste. So without further ado here, on the Sports Report, number one global sports show, pro wrestling star here from Blackheart Wrestling and nonstop action wrestling, nonstop, never stop. His name is Callam Majeikster. My friend, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm hanging in. Ask me about how I'm doing after we do the interview and what's left of my voice because I think I'm on the 7th or 8th day now that I'm unfortunately sick. Who knows what it was, but it's not about me. It's about you, my friend. And obviously, good to be with you once again. And certainly a lot to get into because I think that this was something that we should have saw coming several weeks ago. We were here on Sportswire Radio with you, and we noticed the lawman Kyle Kennedy, who's usually not collegial, not complimentary, and he was very complimentary. He was very warm toward you on the stream, and yet here you are, and all these weeks later, and maybe we should have saw it coming. You're the newest member of the society. The society, as always, is a huge part of things in nonstop action wrestling. You guys, I felt like, were more a part of things than usual and ever before, and that's saying a lot. So set the tables for us, Callam, and what did it mean to you and everything else now that's a part of things where you are the newest member of the society?
I mean, what can I say? I mean, you look at the society before, they were strong, they were powerful, they were intimidating, but there was something that was holding them back, and that was Robert DeCaro. So they had to get rid of
Robert
Robert
who?
DeCaro. Huh?
Robert who?
Exactly. Robert who? They had to get rid of him and bring in someone who they knew was going to get the job done, and obviously that guy just so happened to be me. And I mean, debuting for NSAW, there was no chance I was going to debut just walk into the ring and having a match. I had to come in and make a bang. I had to come in with a bang. That bang just so happening to be Champ Rogers' head against a corner post, but a bang nonetheless. And I'm not going to complain about that because it was music to my ears. And fair enough, obviously losing the match, which I wasn't happy about, but Remus Kane was very nice to me, surprisingly. He didn't seem that bothered. I mean, we got told, both me and Billy had been told that Sean only wasn't even showing up. He had some issues getting there. And as soon as we're about to start wrestling, we then get
Yeah, I
told,
was
by the
watching
way,
it.
he
The
is
first,
here.
it took him like about maybe 2 minutes or so after ring time, and all of a sudden, Sean
Yeah,
Only's
well,
there. I was kind of like waiting for the punchline there.
we've been told he couldn't make it because there was some issues with him getting there, and then as soon as we were about to wrestle, we then get told, "Oh, by the way, he's here. He's in the building. He's making his entrance now," and that absolutely threw me off completely. Like, because I was in the mindset of, okay, it's just me and Billy O'Keefe. I know how Billy works. I can beat him, and then yeah, it just comes out of nowhere. It was. I wasn't happy about it. I can say that much. I wasn't
I
very
don't think
happy.
anybody's ever happy about losing. First of all, I don't think
No.
anybody in any walk of life, especially in wrestling, is happy about losing. But let me ask you then this question. Do you think then because you didn't know that Sean Only was going to make it at All Hallows Eve, do you think that that maybe kind of dictated kind of your mindset? Whereas originally right up to match time, literally the first two or
Oh,
so minutes in, you're basically prepared for Billy O'Keefe, and Sean only
yeah.
comes in. I mean, do you think almost that kind of hurt you in terms of how you mentally prepared for that match?
Oh, not only that, but you've seen the memes that have been made about it, which is absolutely infuriating to me. But you've seen the memes. You say like that kick right at the very beginning.
Yep.
How the hell are you supposed to continue fighting when you've just been kicked square in the face and you're completely thrown off? You're almost knocked out.
You were out for at least, I want to say, about 4 minutes, and about 4 or 5 minutes. I counted about.
Something like that, yeah, something like that. Because I was so thrown off, and the kick was that hard. I genuinely think I was
I
knocked
think
out.
originally I was kind of waiting for you to do like the Randy Orton in the Royal Rumble all those years ago, and kind of come in and all of a sudden wait as long as possible till you could get the chance and kind of take a win there.
Yeah,
But
no,
you know,
I'm not being funny, but once I got hit with that kick, as soon as I woke up again, I wasn't just gonna sit there and wait. I knew I had to get Sean Only back, which, as you have
but
seen,
could
when
you
I
have
grabbed him,
actually said, you know what? And I'm not trying to take sides here, but could you have actually said, you know what? I don't want to continue. I want medical attention. I know that as a performer,
no,
you don't want to do that, but could you have done that?
no. I mean, I probably could have had medical attention, but I don't want it. At the end of the day, the way I've been brought up is, are you hurting? Well, hurt something else, then that other thing isn't hurting anymore. And that was like, I couldn't really care less. If you've hurt me, I'm still going to continue fighting. I'm not, I'm not like these new wrestlers, like bloody Donny Franchise who just cries at everything. You've got to keep going. You're not paid to have medical attention. You're paid to wrestle. And that's exactly what I was there to do. So no, absolutely, I would not have had medical attention at all. No, I would
All
have
right,
refused.
that's fair enough. Listen, we had to at least ask the question here on Sportswire Radio, and certainly I will bring up Donnie franchise and the wrestling appreciation side.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, you reminded me because in our kind of backstage before we're going to go live, I actually forgot about Wrestling Appreciation Society to mention. So we'll make sure to mention them because I actually do have an announcement related toward them. So thank you for reminding me, or maybe not thanking me for reminding me, depending on what side of the coin you're on. But
yeah.
I do have a comment from Dylan Picken, and I think it's a good one here. And how long till the society takes over the UK wrestling world? That's a good question.
Only time will tell. We're not confirming anything at the moment. We're not gonna go out there and say we're joining UKW on this date because that's just not how the society goes. We're gonna show up when we show up, and when we do, we're gonna raise hell, and we're gonna kick the crap out of everyone that comes in our way. But why the hell would we spoil the surprise there?
Hmm.
Doesn't make sense.
Well, for whatever reason, I'm thinking about the Kiss song "All Hell's Breaking Loose." So that certainly
There
could
you
be
go.
the society. All hell will be breaking loose, depending on what company you're in. We'll get into that, I'm sure, at a later time. But let me ask you a question coming back to the society. Obviously, you're a part of things with Remus Kane and
Yep,
MX Knights, and also Mr. Sportswire himself, Cal Kenny, who always is a topic here on
definitely.
Sportswire Radio. I'm
Of
sure
course.
you're aware of that. But do you feel like for your career, this is kind of a jump start? Because I know we've spoken in
Oh,
the past. And
absolutely.
so talk to me about that because I
Oh,
feel like
absolutely.
that this has to be a jump start. Go ahead.
I'm not being funny, but as soon as I was contacted by them and asked to join them, of course I was not going to say no. Why the hell would I say no? Because I've seen the society. I've seen the companies they've worked
Oh,
for,
you've
whether it's
seen him in
Pursuit.
Blackheart. You were
Yeah,
across the apron from them.
I was. Yeah, I was across the apron. I've seen them work for Pursuit Pro Wrestling and UKW. It would have been stupid of me to not join them. So why? Of course, it's like a jump start. Well, maybe not a jump start, but kind of
How about a second
like
wind, more or less?
yeah, like a second wind exactly. Because I guess my career was starting to take off with Blackheart, but I mean, and GT working for GTM as well. But absolutely, joining the society is absolutely what's gonna like second give my career a second wind. So absolutely, I can agree on that.
Yeah, I kind of feel like for whatever reason, the new attitude, being a part of the society, I think is only going to bring you to places that you would like to be here. And I do have a comment, so I have to bring it up, and I think you know who this individual says. And he says, remember when Tommy Rocker carried you to the best match you've ever had in front of 500 people? I think we spoke about that in the first interview you did. I'm pretty sure about it. But you have a thought or two you want to add on it now while we have the comment up?
Yeah, technically it wasn't my match. It was Louis Ripper Paradise's because he didn't show up, so I had to use his name and music. So technically, it wasn't my match.
Oh
no! On a real note, that was one of my favorite matches that I'd ever had in my career. However, the match I've just had, I would say, is probably tops that. Sorry, you might get angry at me for it, but that's just how I feel about that match personally. Even though I didn't win, that's how I feel about that.
That was great. And I got to tell you something. And if you have a chance, please watch that match. It is on the Nonstop Action Wrestling Instagram page where you can follow it. Ensaw Wrestling UK, where you can watch the match. It's on the second video. It's the most notable video here, where you kind of in the middle of it. I think it's about in the middle part of that. It's about a 50-minute clip, but it's kind of somewhere in the. It's about, I guess, like the 30. I think the 33 or 34-minute mark, something like that. Don't double quote me on the times. And it's about a 13 or 14-minute match in time, and I'm telling you, it is definitely worth the match. Anytime you see Sean Only out there, and of course Billy O'Keefe, who is the Blackheart Wrestling World Champion, and of course Callam Majeikster was right there. So this is definitely a match you want to check out. Make sure you go there on the Nonstop Action Wrestling Instagram page. And then for a match like this, and obviously it was a great match, there was great moments. Obviously, you kind of did that, I guess, little moonsault you did in the middle of the ring, which I thought was one of my more enjoyable spots. You did kind of like the backflip, almost like a backflip moonsault. There was a spot like a little you're in between, your Sean Only's down, and you almost like flipped yourself onto him. There was a spot in the match there that you wound up having. I don't know. Yeah, maybe you.
I must have been hitting the head really hard then, because I do not remember that.
Yeah, it was 1, 2, and he kicked out, and obviously there was a few other spots in the match that I recall correctly as well, with you and Billy O'Keefe, I believe, outside the ring as well. There was another spot you come back in and out, so stuff like that obviously makes it why you want to go and watch the match firsthand. But when you have a match like this and you feel it's this successful for your career, how do you build off it?
Well, I mean, you just got to keep going, haven't you? I mean, it's a loss, and it's not something that I'm going to take to. Don't get me wrong, I'm pissed that I didn't get the. Sorry, I'm angry that I didn't get the Blackheart Championship. I'm angry that I didn't get the win, but there's no point in holding on to the past. I just keep going and keep fighting. I'll fight anyone that NSAW puts in front of me, whether it's.
I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that in a little while. I'm gonna get to that. Don't you worry.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that's it. I've just got to keep fighting. That's all I'm gonna do. Whether it's in the ring, whether it's in the street, I don't care. Like.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'm sure somebody out there in the back in Nonstop Action Wrestling is listening to that. But let me get to your brethren in the society, because they have tuned in. They have joined us. As always, Mr. Sportswire, the lawman Kyle Kennedy himself, who we heard once again on Monday, who's going to be this weekend in CCW in the Color of Souls. And he's going to be in a really, really intriguing match for that company's World Heavyweight Championship. He'll be in the ring against the Tyrant King, Mitchell Taylor, who's pretty much... I ambushed every single person that lives in the United Kingdom, and he certainly said a lot. And also, of course, the current champion there in CCW, Jack Bartley, the underground heavyweight champion, an interesting world champion there. And Mr. Sportswire has a chance, obviously, to recapture some gold once again. So he's tuned in. I'll get to him in a second. And of course, MX Knights here says, Mr. Majeikster, you did an excellent job at All Hallows Eve. Welcome to the fold. So what does that mean to you then, to be a part of the fold there and get the ringing endorsement there from somebody else in management, Nonstop Action Wrestling, that is Mr. MX Knights?
Well, I mean, joining the site, it's like I say, it's a new attitude. It's something new for me. You know, people are used to seeing this guy who comes out and is loud and, you know, he high fives everyone. And I'm just so sick of it now. I genuinely cannot be bothered pretending to be nice anymore. Like,
well, nice guys always finish last, they say. You do know that.
Exactly, and that's not what I'm about to do. I'm not about to finish last. You know, I've been, first training session was literally 10 years ago, Why the
No, we
hell?
spoke about it. I mean,
Yeah,
your
why
experience
the hell?
is pretty
Yeah,
big.
why the hell? Yeah, I've been nice for so long. Why the hell I'm going to keep doing that? And as saying I did an excellent job. Yes, I did do an excellent job, but I didn't get the win, and that's what angers me. But again, I'm not holding on to it. I'm just going to move forward, and I know in the next one I will get the win because I'm not going to get, you know, confused. I'm not going to have someone change the match last second, literally during the match, and say, "Oh, by the way, someone else is coming in." That's not happening anymore. And I will tell them that. And if someone tries to do it, I'll knock them on their ass when they come into the ring. I don't care. Like, as simple as that.
Well, we'll certainly find out. Obviously, again, if you like what you hear from Nonstop Action Wrestling, support them on YouTube at Nonstop Action Wrestling. Also, NSAW Wrestling _ UK on Twitter as well. Facebook, Nonstop Action Wrestling, Nonstop Action Wrestling Universe group is on Facebook as well. Please join them as well and continue to support this company as they are marching on to Nuclear Winter coming up here December the 17th. And I will come back to the Lawman Kyle Kennedy. Then I'm going to get to Donnie Franchise. And I have an announcement related to Donnie Franchise coming up. So let me come back to the Lawman first. He says, yes, tell him Callam, but he says, taking another heavyweight championship in the name of the society this Saturday. So I wanted to ask you about that actually, because that's a great segue, because I did want to get your impressions on that match in CCW. Obviously, CCW and Nonstop Action Wrestling have worked together in the past. I want to shout out James Barris, the owner of CCW, for giving us the opportunity for more coverage of Coloring Championship Wrestling ahead of another sold-out show. And what's your impressions there of the Lawman Kyle Kennedy and what he's going to do this Saturday? And do you feel as well that he will walk away there as the new CCW Underground Heavyweight Champion?
I mean, let me tell you right now, I tuned in when Kyle Kennedy was on your show with the other
Yes,
two. I've
I'm
already
aware.
forgotten names. I've already forgotten their names.
Well, the guy with the bald head was like a knockoff Stone Cold impression, was telling people he's from New York and he's from like Bumble who knows where in Tennessee. And I never heard of this guy. He's supposed to be this big superstar wrestler. And we do know Jack Bartley a little bit, but he hasn't quite had the run that Kyle Kennedy's had, I think, these past few months.
You know Jack Bartley. I haven't got a clue, and I couldn't care less. Same again for that, like you say, Stone Cold knockoff. Again, whatever the hell is Tyrant, whatever. I don't
He
really
got
care.
a Village People costume that he probably found at some like bargain-based dollar
Exactly.
store near his trailer park where he lives, most likely.
Exactly. The only reason that I was tuning in onto that show was for Kyle Kennedy, because that's my guy right there. And I mean, you saw at All Hallows Eve. I mean, politics and that meant he couldn't keep the NSAW championship, but that's not going to be the case at CCW. And I know for a fact, being the ass kicker that he is, he's going to win that championship. He's going to knock them down. He's going to take their belt, and that is going to be something that is under the society. Again, you want to talk about a guy that's been making moves. Like I said, I didn't even know who the hell the other two guys were, but people know who Kyle Kennedy is. And that's going to be a big factor when he walks through that curtain and everyone actually knows who he is.
I'll tell you this much, and again, I've covered wrestling here in the UK for about 2 years now, and I would have to say, before I get to Donnie Franchise, which I'll get to him, in the past, I would say 5 or 6 months that I've gotten to know the Lawman Kyle Kennedy, I would have to say it would be him and maybe RP Davis, who I've known RP Davis a long time, and he's a very big deal. Those would be the two wrestlers I've probably spoken about the most, and I've heard their names come out of wrestlers' mouths the most in these past umpteen months. So that tells you that regardless of what you think of Kyle Kennedy, regardless of what side of the coin you might be on or anything else that goes on, you got to give him that he's been able to get himself in places like CCW, Blackheart Wrestling, obviously GT Ministries as well, certainly Nonstop Action Wrestling. So at the end of the day, you have to tip your hat to somebody like that that's been able to get their name out there. Wrestling Appreciation Society is another one of those companies as well. And speaking of that, we have Donnie Franchise, who I'm going to get to an announcement for shortly. And he is tuned in. He has something to say to you. And obviously, we're kind of responsible, I guess, in a way for this all kind of happening. So I guess take that for what it's worth. But he says, I hope you enjoyed stealing my property this past Saturday. I'll be sure to repay the favor with a less delicate message than yours. couldn't even get your own catchphrase right. Now, obviously, we've seen a lot that's going on here now between Nonstop Action Wrestling and Wrestling Appreciation Society. Donnie Franchise, certainly Mr. Sportswire, the lawman Kyle Kennedy, certainly did some things to him, certainly on his Instagram stream of things at All Hallows Eve. So, would you like to respond to Donnie Franchise and anything else that may go on?
First of all, your property wasn't stolen. Yes, I took it. You were filming at a wrestling show without permission. I'm surprised no one took the phone off you anyway. I took the phone off you because I knew you were filming. You were representing the Wrestling Appreciation Society. So I figured, hey, maybe the society can leave a message. And you got your phone back. Courtesy of who? Me. I made sure you got your phone. I gave it to management and made sure you got your phone back so that our message could be shared. And can't even get your own catchphrase right. Well, again, let's point out that I am new to the society. I am still figuring stuff out. You can't even run ropes or take a bump, yet you've booked yourself against Kyle Kennedy, who you only came to NSAW All Hallows Eve so you could try throw him off, so you could actually stir the pot. You wanted to cause a scene and then cried when a scene was caused. You are the most annoying, whiny wrestler. And it's insulting I call you a wrestler because, again, you've had one training session and you think all of a sudden you're John Cena or The Rock. Just shut your mouth when crying to Chris Walker or whatever the hell his name is about Wrestling Appreciation Society saying you want an apology and a private meeting. That NSAW All Hallows Eve is nothing to do with the Wrestling Appreciation Society. They cannot do anything because you left your own turf. They can't do anything. Shut your mouth. Stop acting like a sad, entitled little boy and put the work in before you actually get knocked out by Kyle Kennedy, by Remus Kane, by me. I have no issue teaching you lessons in wrestling, boy. Believe me, no issues at all.
Let me ask you a question, and I'll come to Donnie Franchise in the announcement. But let me ask you this question. I know we spoke a little bit about this the first time you came on, because obviously you are probably, of anybody we've had on Sportswire, you are probably one of the longest tenured wrestlers that's been doing this. So you've been doing this 10 years. You've had hundreds and hundreds of matches, and your ring experience is up there, probably in a way with the likes of even a Disciple, R.P. Davis, I mentioned, Gareth Angel. I mean, Tommy Dillon's, list goes on. You actually have been in the ring longer than Tommy Dillon has, but that's a separate discussion. But when, let's say, somebody like a Donnie Franchise who's come in there, hasn't had a match, is just starting to train, and he asserts himself or interjects himself, you may want to say into something like this. Again, you're more of a veteran. You are the veteran in the society. How does this make you feel? Do you feel that Donnie Franchise has paid his dues? Do you feel that Donnie Franchise should just be sitting in the back and just trying to be respectful? Go ahead.
Donnie Franchise reminds me a lot of Dan Robertson, Killjoy, because you just come into the scene, try to throw yourself into these different companies, you give it all the talk on social media, but you haven't actually done anything. Again, when Killjoy was like, "Oh, I've done more than you did in 10 years." No, you haven't. Before you two were even saying your first words, before you've even stepped foot into a training session, I'd already wrestled for Basics Pro Wrestling in Wales, TNT Explosive Wrestling, KGW, 4GW, debuted at UKW, GTM. I already had 6 companies under my name before you guys even started, but yet you guys want to attack me. It's insulting that people are just throwing themselves like fans. You're bloody theatre students at Huddersfield University. And that's how you've got your venue, because your student, what the hell? You can't do anything. Like say, you put yourself against Kyle Kennedy, he's going to knock you out. You think he's going to go easy on you just because you were childhood friends? No.
I think it might be worse. I think it could be worse.
I've been childhood friends with some of the guys I've wrestled, and we've had no issue bloody fighting each other because that's what we do. You don't get the industry yet. You're just a fan, and until you can prove to me otherwise, that's all you are, is a fan. And you're gonna wake up to reality soon.
Well, we'll certainly find out. And the lawman Kyle Kennedy also says, Donnie, I beg you, pipe down. You came to our show, tried to hijack the event, and cry when there's consequences.
Exactly.
And the lawman also says, Shooter Majeikster. Yeah, I almost feel like, am I in the middle of a shoot? Is it a work shoot? I don't know at this point. So all I know is one thing. I wouldn't want to get in the middle of that, but I do have to have some breaking news for certainly you and certainly the rest of the society, brethren, especially Mr. Sportswire, Kyle Kennedy. And certainly you're going to have to brace for this, but this Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening here in the UK, Donnie Franchise himself has requested a mic. He has requested to come on to Sportswire Radio, and he wants to address what has happened to him in Nonstop Action Wrestling. He wants to address what has happened with you and Mr. Sportswire himself, Kyle Kennedy. And he has certainly made it worth our time, and we have to give him the floor, and he's going to be back with us. And this is his first official interview here on Sportswire Radio with us, and he certainly has a lot to say, and we're going to make that happen. And I have to get your reactions to it because I'm sure a lot of people around the wrestling world are going to be listening and watching this on Sportswire Radio. So talk to me about your thoughts on this.
Why the hell would you waste your time? Exactly. You can't even give me a response, which shows that you know yourself you're wasting your time. So, next question. We don't care about Donny Franchise. We couldn't really care less. All right. What's he going to do? Come on and cry like he has been doing already. We've heard it all.
Let me ask you one follow-up question and tell me your thoughts on this, because I think you might probably want to answer this question, and you'll probably give an answer that I kind of think you'll give me the answer. But do you feel like when it comes to someone like yourself, or even, let's say, the lawman Kyle, I know some other guys who are a part of Wrestling Appreciation Society, Tommy Dillon, Connor Cage, Champ Rogers, and so on, Killjoy Dan Robertson as well. But do you feel like, at least in your case, as somebody that's a veteran, and even now someone like a Kyle Kennedy, who very well could be the CCW world champion in a matter of, I guess if I do my math correctly, 70 plus hours or so. Do you feel like that company, Wrestling Appreciation Society, is making the name off itself, off the backs of, let's say, guys like yourself who are already established household names?
Well, I mean, the way you make a name for a company is by going off the names of other wrestlers. I cannot fault Wrestling Appreciation Society themselves. I cannot fault the company. The company, I believe, is very professionally set up. It's some of the talent that I cannot stand for the life of me. And again, it's insulting to call them talent. Like, they need guys like myself, Kyle Kennedy, Tommy Dillon, because we know how to wrestle. And that is what you need when you.
So then, should this have been really a wrestling show, or maybe rather instead an exhibition, or maybe some fan fest? Because if you're telling me, which again we know a lot about the company, we've covered it. We'll have Donnie on himself Sunday night, but it sounds like a lot of these wrestlers don't are up to par at the moment, or those who are training. Not a lot of the guys from Nonstop Action Wrestling that are announced. I mean, so is it safe to say that the company like Wrestling Appreciation Society, maybe this should have been done in a different way, like a memorial, an exhibition? Jump in.
If I am being completely honest, so some of the guys, like you say, like Tommy Dillon, not Tommy Dillon, like Donny Franchise. Oh, he's going to kill me for that one. People, when you get people like Donny Franchise or
Matt Royale, even somebody you know hasn't been in the ring in a while.
Matt Royale, I have respect for. Matt Royale, I know puts the work in. He's one that I can respect. For the guys that are only just starting out, I believe the way they should have done it is for those guys to have an exhibition show and to have guys like myself, Tommy Dillon, Champ Rogers, to watch and give advice and help them out. And then do a public show, which can be the wrestlers, the professionals, the guys who've done it for years. That's how I would have suggested they do it, but I'm not the one in control, am I? So they're not going to care what I say.
Well, I mean, that's why I would have thought, okay, that would have made a lot more sense here. And let me get to a bunch of comments here. Of course, I want to get to the man from Blackheart Wrestling, which I'll promote in a few minutes short because we have a big show coming up next Sunday. That is, of course, Mr. Lawrence Breeze himself. Blackheart, cough, cough. Don't forget them. No, trust me, it's definitely on the agenda. Don't you worry about that there. Donnie on Sportswire, prepare for your lowest viewership, Tom. Well, we'll find out. I'll let you know, certainly. I'm sure the viewership count will certainly let me know as well. And Jenny Hayes, the rock idol of the UK, says the society may have been a powerful force at All Hallows Eve, but I did have to tell them off. I did kind of see that a little bit with the whole thing with Kyle Canning, which I'll get to, and I'll come back for in a few minutes. Got to take the wolves to make them obedient. We also have here, well, let me come back to that because I want to get to Donnie franchise first. I agree. I haven't stepped in the ring yet. I haven't made my statement yet. But the work and determination I'm willing and going to put in will prove why I stand with the rest and above the society. Rise the franchise. You like to respond?
Prove me wrong, because you haven't done that yet. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for you to actually prove to me that you can do it. So far, all I've seen is you've taken a bump. That's all I've seen.
Well, you took a pretty big bump against Sean Only, and you still live to tell about it. That's a big.
Exactly. And again, I'm not being funny, but again, just if you can prove me wrong, then I will put my hands up and I will take back everything I say. But until then, everything I say still stands.
All right. Well, we'll certainly find out here and see what happens. And let me get to some comments here because I've only got X amount of time at this point. Who's the most promising wrestler coming up in your opinion? I would imagine this would be Dylan more of on the local scene. I mean, I'm gonna keep it to that. So,
you know what? I will say one of the lads that I do want to see work for more promotions is one of the TNT Explosive Wrestling lads, Danny Domain. So he's also gonna, well, from what I've heard, he's potentially in the Deadline Rumble. Don't know if it's confirmed yet, but I have heard. And he's definitely one that I would turn around to Blackheart, and so I would turn around to anyone and say he's a guy that you want to book because he's so explosive and again, a friend from my childhood that I can say, he's not someone that I'm just saying, oh, he's a friend. Okay, like he's genuinely he puts in the work, he's got the talent, he's got the passion. He's someone that I would absolutely say is the most promising. He just needs to be noticed.
all right, fair enough. I also want to give this a comment here. What is it about the society that drew you to them? That's a good question. I know you kind of answered it at the beginning, but what would you like to say?
It's a career opportunity, and they're badasses that kick the crap out of everyone. Why would you not join them?
Well, I'll tell you this much: I wouldn't want to be the one that's getting my butt kicked by them. I might, at least might want to join if that's my option. So, I mean, that's certainly a very, very valid question. Very, very valid point. Also, want to give a shout out to, which is a great segue, our friends over at Blackheart Wrestling, of course. Shelby Sinar, and of course Shelby was supposed to be with us, but we're actually going to reschedule it. So we'll make sure we reschedule that for another time and place, which is actually great because I'm still a little bit under the weather. And today is, I think, the first day I'm noticeably feeling a bit better. But as you can see, I'm still certainly a little bit shot there with the voice. But we'll definitely, for sure, have Shelby back on. So I want to come back to Blackheart Wrestling because I haven't got a chance to speak about that. And I'll come back to Nonstop Action Wrestling. I'll come back to the Wrestling Appreciation Society guys in a second. I also want to give a shout out to Kyle Kennedy on something he posted. I want to get a quick comment on as well. But Blackheart Wrestling has a show next Sunday. Talk to me about it, and if maybe we can see you there.
Well, I mean, I haven't, again, not got anything confirmed. I'm sure I'll find out in the next couple of days. I've been ranting that much, I can't speak anymore. Over the next couple of days, I'm sure I'll be finding out. I am pretty sure I will be on the show. I'd like to think I am one of the Blackheart regulars now. And if I'm not, maybe I just have to reveal to Blackheart that I'm with the society, and maybe we just go in and just, again, kick the crap out of everyone. Who knows? Don't really care. Not
All right.
saying I don't care about Black Art Wrestling. I respect Black Art Wrestling, and they've done a lot for my career, but I just don't care about some of the wrestlers there, so I can just go for them.
Well, I mean, listen, anybody that works somewhere, right, or anybody that goes to a place, there's always going to be places that there's just people you don't like. There's just people that you just don't care for. I mean, I've been in hundreds of situations where I could tell you the same thing. So, I mean, that's certainly fair points, but obviously, I do want to make sure our friends at Blackheart Wrestling get all the support and love that they get because they are one of our favorite companies around. We certainly like to give them coverage. Blackheart Wrestling UK as well. And I've actually got some breaking news for you regarding Blackheart Wrestling because people just and Sportswire at this point, news just drops at the drop of a dime here. So the news here is that you're
Oh,
booked for Aftershock. So
of course. There we go.
so I guess
Spoiler.
was this the plan all along? I'm assuming this was a shoot.
Yes, of course. I just had to mention. It's like everyone who mentions Gareth Angel and GTM.
I feel like though I've had you on twice, and I think now I'm responsible for you getting booked twice right before a show. And then I think Wrestling Appreciation Society, I think, was kind of announcing you either right when you were on or right after you're on. So I'm assuming the next time you came on or the next time you're about to come on, it's going to be somewhere else that's going to announce you.
It's going to be Triple H calling me next.
Well, I mean, at this point, I could say never say never at this point. So I wouldn't be surprised one bit about that. And of course, your brother in the society are happy about that. Fantastic news. Book this man. Well, he got booked already, Mr. Sportswire. But I do want to come back to Matt Royale, who we did mention. And it seems like Wrestling Appreciation. It's like calling the bat signal when you mention Wrestling Appreciation Society.
This is it. Hello. Goodbye.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough here. But if you do like us on Sportswire Radio, I hope that you continue to give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio and also on sportnarium.com/play where you can listen to all of our great list of shows that we play. We play music, we play live talk, we also play podcasts from your favorite sports around the world. So you can check us out anytime and listen at sportnarium.com/player where I am the station manager and the project director from all the stuff that we do on behalf of Sportswire Radio. YouTube, we're at Sportswire Radio. You can also follow me on Instagram. And we're just about at 500 followers on Facebook, so I want to thank everybody for all of the support. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. We'll also be back here Friday for more coverage on Sportswire Radio. In fact, we are going to have on the Scenario Nathan Gunn, who's going to be in a really intriguing match because this weekend he's going to be wrestling Bentley. So I'm really, really excited about that match. That's kind of a match I kind of wanted to see for a while. The Scenario Nathan Gunn versus Bentley. We'll also have on Wildfire Nate Reese. So you'll have LWF coverage plus much, much more on Sportswire Radio coming up around 8 o'clock British Standard Time this Friday on Sportswire Radio. So very, very excited about all of that here. And right now we are speaking nonstop action wrestling, Wrestling Appreciation Society, a little bit of Blackheart Wrestling with Callam Majeikster. And of course, Callam is doing a great job out there. He just had one of the more phenomenal matches I've seen in quite a while in nonstop action wrestling's All Hallows Eve. And that was against the legendary Sean Only and the Blackheart Wrestling world champion Billy O'Keefe. You can follow Callam on Instagram at Callam_Majeikster. So please make sure you follow him for all the great things he is doing as he is now the newest member of the society. And also, Matt Royale says, be careful, Callam. Don't lose respect or you'll be put in check. Well, we'll certainly find out. But I did want to come back to nonstop action wrestling because before All Hallows Eve, we had an announcement from the chairman of the company, Joshua Snow, which I think you'd be very, very curious to talk about and intrigued of, is that we're going to have a new championship introduced in nonstop action wrestling, the Northern Division Championship, and I've heard guys left and right talk about it. And of course, I wanted to get your perspective on it and what does this mean to you, and if this is a title that you would like to set your sights on.
I'm not being funny, but if anyone should go for that championship, it should be me. First of all, I'm a Northerner. I'm from North England. I'm from West Yorkshire. You know. And also, again, it makes me laugh. Like the guys who are putting their names forward, guys like Sally Blue and that, who've only done wrestling for a couple of years. Again, I don't think the dues are paid enough yet. Like my body, you've hardly got a scratch on you. My body is permanently scarred because of professional wrestling. I've paid my dues. I've had the blood, the sweat, the tears. I've had it all. and yet I haven't had a championship, which I don't think is very fair. Again, I should have had the TNT Explosive Wrestling Championship, and then that match got changed last minute to a triple threat because for whatever reason, people love changing plans when it comes to my matches and making that more difficult for me. Don't get what it is. That again, I could have the Blackout Championship right now if it wasn't for Sean Only. Sean Only, I just butchered his name. I don't really care. If he really came in, like I could. Again, anyone's going to have a championship. Should really be me, shouldn't it? That's all I'm going to say. Again, that simple as that.
Well, I have a few comments here, which certainly kind of piggyback off that, so let me show them to you to get your reactions. Jenny Hayes, who, by the way, let me give Jenny a big shout out because Jenny has a brand new single that is out there, and she did almost, I guess it's like a goth, like 90s pop cover, if that makes sense, and it was done really well, and she, I believe, directed the video, kind of plays in with the music and kind of plays like these different parts in the video. It's a really well done video, and I hope that people go out and check the rock idol of the UK, Jenny Hayes, social medias to go out and check the video and find out why you should enjoy it and follow Jenny for all the great things she does. She says, Sean Only is like the South Yorkshire's answer to CM Punk, talent-wise. No, I'm actually going to go further than this. People want to be in the, despite what Callam may have said, people want to wrestle Sean Only. I don't think anybody right now wants to be in a locker room with CM Punk because we haven't seen CM Punk in a locker room for quite a while. So at this point, Sean Only... And Sean Only, by the way, is the GTM trainer. So there's a lot of people that certainly respect Sean Only. And I'm not trying to, dump on CM Punk, but CM Punk right now, I haven't seen him in an AEW locker room in quite a while, and who knows when he's coming back. So at this point, I might want to take Sean Only over CM Punk.
He won't be coming back. The thing is, I'm not angry that I had to wrestle Sean Only. Believe me, I think Sean Only is an amazing talent, and I absolutely would have loved to work him one-on-one. It's the fact that he came into a match last minute, like literally during the match, and decided, by the way, I've arrived, I'm fighting now. That's what got me.
Right, and I think that obviously the bell rings. You guys are kind of expecting to face off with each other. Then all of a sudden, Sean Only comes. I don't know if it was planned that way. I don't know if a miracle happened. I don't know if it was almost like the bat signal and the Batmobile was somebody gave him the Batmobile. I don't know what it was, but it happened that Sean Only was out there in the ring, and it still turned out to be a great match. But let me come back to some comments. Lawrence Breeze says Callam doesn't need to be worried about the Northern Division. He needs to be aiming at the world-class title. I mean, that's certainly, valid point. You have been in the ring with Tommy Dillon. Obviously, we saw that in GTM, but something tells me here you guys could meet in a ring once again in the near and distant future. And the lawman Kyle Kennedy says, bring that championship to the society, Callam. Sean Only is a phenomenal talent from what I've seen him. I don't know if I should bring this up, but maybe I'll bring it up just because I am a big fan of Kyle Kennedy, regardless of anything that you see here or in the ring. And I guess I should probably ask because I just saw on his Instagram posted. I guess kind of one of those, I guess maybe not so much in character, but maybe speaking from the heart. And the lawman Kyle Kennedy had to say a few things. I don't know if you got a chance to see it on Instagram, but he basically said, look, as you mentioned, you have a lot of, marks and scars on your body. You put your body through a lot. And it seems like he's put his body through a lot in a short amount of time. And I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but he's certainly, I guess, evaluating what he's going to do in the ring and such. And you have any thoughts on that? And maybe in a way, kind of what he had to say, the lawman Kyle Kennedy, maybe in a lot of ways, every wrestler goes through because no wrestler goes pain-free. No wrestler doesn't have an accident. So if you want to address this, what Mr. Sportswire Kyle Kennedy had just posted on his Instagram page and just your overall thoughts on it, I'm sure that there's people out there that want to hear it.
It was definitely a shock, especially, after what we'd seen at All Hallows Eve, we kind of thought, we're still going to keep going no matter what. And then obviously to see that post definitely was a shock, but I don't really want to say too much until more stuff is confirmed. So
That's why I said I don't want to say anything that's final or anything else like that. But
yeah, of course.
certainly when you read a post like that, you certainly your heart goes out to the individual because we try to get to know everybody here. I know obviously we speak and we have fun and we certainly talk about everybody and it certainly is that. But I've gotten to know almost all of you in the 2 years I'm doing this. So when you do see a comment or a post like that, you certainly want to extend your well wishes and support to the individual because you guys are individuals at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So, all right, well, we'll certainly see what happens, and we'll certainly keep our fingers crossed and obviously root for the lawman Kyle Kennedy along with everybody else here. And certainly, he says, I very much appreciate that. Thank you. No problem there. So, I did want to address somebody that you guys did do some damage to that we are going to bring back from Nonstop Action Wrestling very, very soon. And his name is Supersonic Sammy Blue. He certainly mixed it up quite a bit with the society. So on a lighter note and kind of changing pace here back to the current plans here at Nonstop Action Wrestling, I mean, he says he basically wants that Northern Division Championship. He wants a piece of you guys still, and he certainly is upset about things. And he said basically he let his emotions get the best of him in his video that we saw on Instagram earlier this week. So can to respond to Supersonic Sammy Blue, and he's certainly somebody we're going to be bringing back here very shortly on Sportswire Radio.
Let me tell you right now, if NSAW was to put me against Sammy Blue, whether it's for the Northern Division Championship or whether it's just a regular one-on-one match, it would be a squash because let's compare the sizes and the experience as well. I'm a lot bigger than he is. I have a lot more experience than he does. And I've also seen quite a few times how he works. So, yeah, I would just flatten him. Simple as that. He wouldn't be able to do anything to me.
All right, so you basically have the scouting report then to a T on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, I'm not being funny. If I've got a society, what is he going to do?
Well, the numbers get, and you know what? And I'm glad you brought that up. Now, that point I have to agree with you on because we've had him on a couple of times. And I would always ask him, I'd say, Sammy, the numbers games aren't with you. The society is bigger than you and anyone else. I know he's got Champ Rogers, but.
Yeah, but then Champ Rogers also got flattened, didn't he?
He did. And he looks different now, Champ Rogers. I had to do a double take. Is Champ Rogers going for like a new look to be in a movie? That was my first thought. Is he like filming movies?
He was like dressing up as Taz or something like that. I get it was a Halloween show, but you're still a wrestler at the end of the day. You're not there to dress up, you're there to wrestle. And he focused more on the dressing up part of it.
So I guess he's no longer the super dad. It's more like FTW, Nonstop Action Wrestling. I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out then. So I guess you're not concerned then about Supersonic Sammy Blue at all. Not too concerned.
No, God, no.
Okay. I've seen him in places like GTM though, and he did get the best of Remus Kane there in the past. I mean, he did.
Good for him, and then Remus Kane got the best of him at All Hallows Eve.
That's true too. That is true too. Touche. Fair point. Okay, fair enough there. So that is certainly a fair point. And coming over here to the home stretch, we have Nonstop Action Wrestling's. It was announced Nuclear Winter, which I believe is December the 17th. Correct me if I'm wrong. We're going to have another show here that's coming up. And it literally not too far from there. And I had to get your impressions of Nuclear Winter and if we can expect you, and I'm sure the rest of the society, to be in the house. And will it literally and figuratively be a Nuclear Winter with you and the rest of the society in the house coming up at Nonstop Action Wrestling's Nuclear Winter? Guide.
Absolutely. I mean, again, not confirmed, but I think because I've joined the society now, I'm pretty sure there's a very, very good chance that I will be there. And yeah, I mean, you've seen how nuclear we were at All Hallows Eve, how impactful we were. You can only imagine what we're going to do at another show now that we're all together and we all are used to each other now. I'm not having this, I'm new, I don't quite know what to do. I know exactly what I'm doing. So we're going to be way more explosive.
Something tells me here, if I'm Nonstop Action Wrestling and I'm management and I'm Joshua Snow, I would definitely tread very, very lightly here.
Oh, absolutely.
When it comes to society, for sure.
Absolutely.
And our friend Michael De Niro Knowles, who has been with us here in several of the past streams. Thank you, Michael, for your support. Who was there at All Hallows Eve, says it was a great show, and he will definitely travel for the next event. So, looking forward to that December the 17th. And I have another great question for you. Who are your top 5 bucket list opponents?
Oh, I would have to say Undertaker. I always wanted to wrestle Undertaker as a kid. Right. Kenny Omega, Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio definitely won. Edge. And if I had to go for one last one, I would probably have to say Kazuchika Okada, I would have to say.
Wow, okay. I appreciate the fact that you pretty much ran the gauntlet of different companies. You pretty much mentioned AEW, you mentioned WWE, you mentioned some Japan. So you're pretty much versatile there. I got to give it. I think Edge was a great one because Edge, I think that would kind of make sense. I mean, because in a way, you guys are kind of what Edge is feuding with in WWE right now with Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. So that would kind of make sense. And Kenny Omega, I think I always mention Omega when I mention different guys and different opponents. And then obviously, again, you mentioned some other ones that I think definitely, to me, make total sense. Rey Mysterio as well. I think Rey Mysterio is the one of all the wrestlers I've had on Sportswire. He's the name that comes the most up in terms of anybody they would want to wrestle.
He made most wrestlers. He made most of our childhoods. So of course,
100%. 100%. I mean, and I was fortunate because I'm a little older than you guys. I was fortunate enough to catch him in his heyday in WCW. So I was fortunate enough there to catch him. Yep, and I wish I was near it, but I actually have a WCW Rey Mysterio trading card. It's one of my more enjoyable possessions. Yes, they made a set when WCW was in its heyday. It was called WCW NWO. For the Topps trading card set. And the set had the wrestlers listed by WCW, NWO Black and White, and the NWO Red Wolfpack. The red and white. That's it. The red and white. And I have almost the entire set, and I have Rey Mysterio obviously in the set. So I'll have to show that as a picture one of these days. But trust me, if you thought we were a problem before then, Nuclear is a very fitting name. I have a feeling this could very well be a nuclear winter, especially when it comes to nonstop action wrestling. And would you ever take on the greatest man that ever lived, A.A. Austin Aries, should you get the opportunity? That's a name I haven't heard in a while. That was a guy that in the middle of the decade was probably, I guess, on his way to being like the next Omega or being kind of like a CM Punk. But unfortunately, at least from what I've read and heard, guys with attitudes that kind of ran themselves out of different locker rooms, he would be the guy that would take the cake. But what's your thoughts on that?
The best way I can answer that is watch Austin Aries against Johnny Impact at Bound for Glory, I think it was. That is exactly why I would never work with him. Never in a million years. If someone did that to me, I'd knock him out. And that's not a word that's true. I would knock him out.
Well, that makes sense. That's one of those guys, then, from what I've heard and watched in interviews, that is completely unsafe. That you don't want to be like that because you'll get that reputation in the wrestling business. You'll get that reputation. Unfortunately, a guy who had that reputation a little bit at times was Rob Van Dam. Even though Rob Van Dam certainly had a lot more success and he was a Hall of Famer at times, I remember listening and reading things that he would kind of at times get that reputation. But certainly Michael says, respectful answer. I respect that. Just like we respect Michael for tuning in, and Michael's always at all the shows. So I appreciate that. So I'm going to give you the floor here. I'm going to give you some closing thoughts. Obviously, my voice is kind of near the end, and you're also a busy man because you've got society interviews, you've got conference calls with the guys, you've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. So is there anything else that you want to address related to nonstop action wrestling? I'll even throw in there Wrestling Appreciation Society, Blackheart, now that you're booked next Sunday. Anything else you want to say and anything else you want to plug for those that are listening to us on Sportswire Radio? Also, you have to get merchandise, by the way. You have to, because everybody's got merchandise.
I do need to get merchandise. Now, I will do at some point.
And Disciple timed it really good, by the way, because he has his shirt out and he just won the GTM World
Exactly.
Championship. So
Congratulations to him. So, listing all the companies that you just said, Blackheart, NSAW, Wrestling Appreciation Society, if you need a reason to tune in and watch any of those shows, myself and the society are the reasons. We are the ones that do what we want, when we want, and we do not care less whether you love us, whether you hate us, whether you just could not care, because neither could we. If you need a reason to tune in, watch us. And also, Dan Robertson, Killjoy, he's got his own end of year goals of winning a championship, but we all know that's never going to be the case, because if anyone's going to win a championship before the end of the year, it's this guy right here. Simple as that.
Well, he did say that Tommy Dillon basically he's going to expire as the Nonstop Action Wrestling World Class Champion, and we know that Kyle Kennedy was the Nonstop Action Wrestling. I guess it's in the record books, World Class Champion, and
politics happened. It's all politics.
So Dan Robertson may have to get in the back of the line. Then you're saying?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Well, you know he'll be back. He'll have something to say, and that his. Oh, I'm sure of that. So certainly, if you are on Sportswire Radio, I do encourage that you follow Callam Majeikster on Instagram at Callam_Majeikster. Also follow him and like him on Facebook as well. He has a page. Definitely catch Nonstop Action Wrestling on Instagram, NSAW Wrestling UK. Also, NSAW Rest_UK on Twitter. Nonstop Action Wrestling on YouTube for content and footage related to the company. Also, Facebook Nonstop Action Wrestling. Also, Nonstop Action Wrestling Universe as well on Facebook. You can join him. My last comment of the night, which we'll put up here for the lawman Kyle Kennedy, doesn't matter how long I had it for. I am technically a former world-class champion. And credit to the lawman Kyle Kennedy, because we did bring that up on our stream Monday with the CCW guys. He's wrestling. That is Jack Bartley, and also, of course, the Tyrant King, Mitch Taylor. So certainly fair points there. And if you're on sportnarium.com/player, you'll go back to your regularly scheduled programming. And also here, and Michael says he isn't wrong. So I went one more comment over. But in the meantime, you can catch Callam Majeikster next Sunday at Blackheart Wrestling UK. That is Blackheart Wrestling UK on Instagram for more information, Facebook as well. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, and we'll be back here this coming Friday with coverage when it comes to the LWF and more with the scenario Nathan Gunn and Wildfire Nate Reese, plus an announcement for another guest coming on. That's a world champion, which I kind of mentioned a few minutes ago as a clue. He'll be back with us next Thursday, and boy, he's going to have a lot to say. So I can tell you, all the clue is Wrecking Crew is on his shirt. That's all I'm going to say. So you'll want to hear that announcement Friday night on Sportswire Radio. In the meantime, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you to the Society. Thank you to Callam Majeikster, the lawman Kyle Kennedy, MX Knights, Michael Knowles, the Wrestling Appreciation Society. Guys, we'll also be back Sunday with Donnie Franchise. Figure around 8 o'clock British Standard Time with Donnie. So thank you, everybody. We are here on the #1 global radio station that is Sportswire Radio. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, and alongside me is Callam Majeikster.